right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the semifinals here at the Mukdong Studio in Seoul, Korea. This is the GSL. There's the trophy. There's Bulltrap and Wolf.
We're here in our second part. We've got MMA versus Happy, another Slayers versus IM situation.
Yep.
I think definitely, though, this time the reverse is going to be the favorite. I think that MMA is definitely the favorite here. Our Slayers player, Ganji, Ganji was pretty good, but I think that MVP, there's too many M's, there's too many Terrans. MVP is just on a completely different level. We were talking about this during the break. I mean, Ganji didn't make that many mistakes. The only mistake he made was trying to go bio against Mech.
He did play really well with it, though. He played bio the way that you're supposed to play it if you do try and play it.
Yeah, he pulled out the trump card of bio, which is the hide the Vikings and try to go for that. And when you go bio, you can do these things. And he did try to make that work, but unfortunately MVP just was not concerned about it. He was like, well, it's fine. You can try that, but I'm the game genie turn. He took out the cartridge and blew on it a few times.
Yeah,
he was like, it's not working at first. He had to blow on the cartridge and put it back in and turn on. It still didn't work, so he had to take it out, blow on it again, then put it in and beat the NES a little bit. Then it was fine. Then it worked.
That's pretty much what happened. He wasn't even worried about it. He's just like, oh, well, I better concentrate on game 5. Let me blow the cartridge out. And when he put it back in, he's like, oh, okay, well, my game came back. We're going to do some interviews with our competitors for the next semifinal.
두 선수 또 만나보도록 하겠습니다. 먼저 정종현 선수가 결승 진출을 확정지었고 이어서 문성원 선수와 안호진 선수입니다. 자리해 주시죠. 네. 반갑습니다. 문성원 선수.
안녕하세요. 문성원입니다.
반갑습니다. 안호진 선수.
안녕하세요. 안호진입니다.
네. 문성원 선수는 저도 요즘 그런 얘기를 조금 듣긴 하는데 날이 갈수록 좀 잘생겨지시는 것 같아요.
금시초문입니다.
아, 저한테 금시초문이라고 하신 것 같고. 알겠습니다. 문성원 선수 팀전에서 이제 우승 경험이 있어요. 슬레이어스가. 그리고 해외 대회에서 좋은 성적을 보여주고
MMA looks handsome today, and he says it's the first time I've heard
정복해야죠
that.
이번에.
네,
I don't think that's true.
상대가 근데 좀 만만치 않은 것 같아요. 어떻게 평가를 하십니까?
요즘 새롭게 떠오르는 테란으로 많이 알려져 있는데 굉장히 잘하시더라고요. 그래서 긴장 많이 하고 해야 될 것 같아요.
네. 4강전이 이제 개인 선수들끼리의 대결이기도 한데 슬레이어스와 IM이라는 팀의 대결 구도예요. 근데 앞선 구도에서는 IM이 웃었습니다.
매우 아쉽지만 동정의 복수를 제가 해줘야 될 것 같아요.
알겠습니다.
He's a little disappointed that his teammate lost the first match.
이어서 안호진 선수.
And he wants to get revenge and make it to the finals.
준결승에 나서는 마음가짐, 소감 한 말씀.
그냥 지금까지 준비해왔던 거 그대로 오늘도 할 생각이고요. 또 종현이랑 꼭 결승에서 만나보고 싶습니다.
Happy says that.
네. 두 번째예요, 코드 S가. 그렇기 때문에 이제 코드 S 무대에서 어떤 적응은 이제 완료가 됐고 좀 욕심이 날 것 같아요, 우승에 대한.
Play as he practiced, so that he can face his teammate in the finals.
네, 거기다가 이제 또 해외로 가서 경기를 하게 될 텐데 그 전에 넘어야 할 산이 문성원 선수입니다. 어떻게 좀 평가를 하십니까?
문성원 선수 예전부터 봐왔는데 굉장히 잘하는 선수고, 근데 어차피 이번에 이겨야 될 상대이기 때문에
he looked at MMA's plays for a long time.
생각 없이
so he thinks he's very strong.
편하게 게임 임하도록 하겠습니다.
네, 모든 것을 내려놓고 했을 때 또 이제 좋은 결과가 있을 거라는 생각이 듭니다. 마지막으로 팬분들께 한 말씀 부탁드릴게요.
MMA is a strong player. He's trying not to be nervous and just stick to his style.
응원해 주십시오.
네, 알겠습니다. 많이 좀 응원을 해주셨으면 좋겠네요. 그리고 문성원 선수 국내 팬들도 많은데 해외 팬들도 있으니까 영어로 조금 한 말씀을 하기엔 좀 그럴 것 같고, 제가 계속 이제 무리한 걸 좀 시도를 하고 있는데 죄송합니다. 팬들에게 또 한 말씀 부탁드릴게요.
지난번에 이어서 한 번 더 결승에 오를 수 있는 기회인데 꼭 좋은 경기력으로 올릴 수 있도록 하겠습니다.
네, 준비되셨죠?
네.
우리 안호진 선수 준비.
He says it's his second chance to be in the finals. Of course, he was in the finals.
그러면 선수 입장하겠습니다.
Really
멋진 경기 부탁드리겠습니다. 입장하시죠. 네.
They're ready.
네, 인터뷰 잘 봤습니다.
There's the trophy.
The trophy.
There's our
The cameraman
players.
saw the trophy, man. He got so scared, he zoomed out and ran away. Did you guys see that?
Yeah, he's like, crap apart. Zerg, I gotta get out of here.
Yeah, man. He's not sure if it's gonna get activated or not.
MMA only taking a few losses. Well, actually, he's taken in a way, if you look at his record, he's kind of scraped into the semifinals, losing a game to Nesty in the group stages, lost a game to ASD, lost 2 games to Clyde. He actually, like, the first 2 games of that series, remember, dominated Clyde and then, like, just lost it, almost lost the whole series, but finally came back in game 5. So MMA looking pretty good. Very good versus Terran. I am happy not playing any Terrans at all. All Zergs and, of course, Genius in the round of 32.
You can see Happy's results versus Terran are 6-4. That's 60%. That's pretty close to MMA's results as well. It's only 10% different, but MMA has a much larger pool. He's got a total of 23 games that that's showing from. And so you can see that Happy's, he's got a decent win rate versus Terran, but he hasn't played against Terran in a while. And on top of that, he has not played as many Terrans as MMA has. He does not have as much experience in the GSL. And to see Happy actually come all the way through Code S and make it to the finals would actually be so surprising to me. I thought this guy was good, but I didn't think he was this good.
Yeah, and on that note, actually, I want to go back and note, how cool is it that Ganji comes up through Code A, wins Code A, and then actually gets all the way to the semifinals of Code S. That's actually a pretty cool
That's really impressive
story there. And so there's the recent activity versus other Terrans that these players have had. Talked about MMA beating Clyde 3-2, beating ASD 2-1. Before that, he actually did beat Nada and Keen in his group as well in order to get out of his round of 32 group. Happy, of course, at the bottom. Also took some wins off ASD previously and beat Keen not that long ago, but hasn't, like we said, hasn't had very much experience versus Terrans.
No, he's not.
And as we can see, they're actually lost recently to MMA, I believe, in a GSTL match.
And, you know, the wins for MMA are against players that aren't, you know, the best players in the world, per se. You played against Clyde, who's actually gotten so much better recently, and ASD, who kind of just popped out of nowhere, and against Nada, but you got to win against Keen. And ASD and Clyde are just not on the same caliber as players like Bomber, MMA, and Marine King.
Yeah, and of course, Happy losing to MVP recently as well in the WCG tournament.
Yes, that's also something I forgot to mention, but I was going to mention. So,
although he did beat the STC twice.
That's
for
true.
Whatever that counts for. Personally, I haven't seen anything too impressive out of the STC yet.
The STC, you know, he was actually improving so much, and he was doing really well in online tournaments, but when he came to play in the GSL, he just has not kept up to most people's standards, I would say. Most people expect him to do far better. There's our trophy again. There's our players. Our first map is going to be Dual Sight.
There we go. Dual Sight. And yes, that's the history that these two guys have in the GSTL. They played. I'm sorry, no, actually in last season of Code S, it was the round of 32. That's right. Yeah, they actually played, and MMA did win that game.
A lot of fans are hoping for a MMA versus MVP finals.
Yeah.
And they may be granted that if MMA can push through and win this one. Definitely the favorite here, I would say.
I would agree with that completely. Dual Sight, as you can see, is the first map. Then will be Daybreak, Metalopolis, Crossfire, and no real heavy macro maps until game number 5 on Terminus. So that's kind of interesting. We have all the small maps.
Daybreak's pretty big, though.
Daybreak is pretty big, but it's like 2-player.
Yeah,
you're right. That can be pretty macro-y, too. You're right. You're right. I was thinking like not Tall Dream or... Oh, never mind. We don't play on Crevasse anymore. But we do play on Dual Sight, and game number 1 on Dual Sight is about to begin. MMA versus Happy. Who is going to capture the momentum of the first game? MMA, can he overcome the loss at the Super Tournament? Happy, will he succeed in his first try at the finals? We're going to find out here very soon. Here at the GSL Code S semifinals. All right, over here at the left side of the map is our player from the team Slayers. He's definitely the favorite here.
Slayers MMA.
Slayers MMA. Really curious to see what kind of style of play we're going to see between these two players, because we didn't really see Marine Tank versus Marine Tank in the MVP series. But here is the competitor of MMA.
I am happy.
Has not played any Terrans yet
Nope.
in his tournament, so we're not sure what kind of TVT play he favors.
Happy he's a very focused player, I feel like Happy, we saw him shoot up almost out of nowhere, just make it into Code A, go into Code S, and then he's made it all the way to the round of 4. And that, I think, in itself is pretty indicative of his determination. You can see that he's been training a lot, really wants this, and I think he may want this even more than the MMA, so we'll see if he can pull something off here. We're seeing it right off the bat that Happy is going for a 1 barracks expand, a pretty common build on this map. Taking no gases, and MMA, of course, has gotten his gas in regular timing. SCV will be able to scout it, though.
SCV ready.
Yes,
Does get in here.
Yep, gets that scout in there. Of course, Happy, this isn't his first season in his Code S. He got into Code S the previous season, and then last season, Season 5, he didn't really do much.
Yeah, he lost actually last season to MMA in the round of 32. So
Yeah.
they're fighting each other again here at a much later stage in the tournament, of course. There's the command center for Happy. Well, I say there, but it's right. Ah, he sent that SCV a little too early.
385,
There it is. I was looking at the resources. I was like, oh, he'll make it any second now. No, he won't.
Wolf can actually just see the future, that's all.
I can see the future. That's why there's stashes of me on Metalopolis.
There you go. Yeah, so nothing too crazy just yet. Do have a reactor going down for MMA on his barracks. Looks like we might see him switch it over and actually maybe get some Hellions, which would be kind of interesting.
Yeah. Commancer goes down for MMA at the natural. And yeah, I think we are just going to see Reactor Hellions as a follow-up to this.
It's kind of interesting how this all works out. Happy because he built his command center in his base, he is going to have to float it out there to get it mining at his expansion, whereas MMA, building it as expansion is going to... Basically, my point is, they're going to be mining from their expansion at about the same time.
Right.
But MMA will be farther along in tech.
Very true. And Happy will, of course, get an earlier mule drop from having the command center faster.
True.
But that's, I think, much less significant than the tech advantage you were talking about, because it's going to allow MMA to control the watchtowers. It's going to be able to harass that natural if it does get landed, and defend his natural as well. Gives him a lot more opportunities. I like the style of MMA a little bit better, to be perfectly honest.
Man, it looks like he might actually follow up these couple quick Hellions with, well, with more Hellions, but also with Banshees possibly, because he is making that starport very quickly.
Yeah, it's
and put a
entirely
tech
possible.
lab on his barracks.
Yeah, he's not using that tech lab on his barracks. I think you're exactly right. I think he is going to start making some Banshees to follow this up. And those Hellions are just continuing to sit down the bottom of the ramp. And it looks like actually we're going to see Blue Flame.
Actually, he's just going to put that factory on there. I was going to say, wow, this is a great idea. He's getting Hellions out so we can soften up enemy Marines and then finish them off with the Banshees. Then go into timing attack, but it's not actually happening. Oh, what does he see? He does see everything. Happy knows exactly what MMA is up to now.
He's getting Siege mode. He's not getting Blue Flames.
Nice.
Very fast Siege mode. It's going to allow him to hold his natural very well and also put pressure on his opponent because he knows the timings of his opponent. He's figured out it's a 1 barracks expand. That's why he was able to be so aggressive with those Hellions.
I like this move by MMA. I like that a lot.
Now, if you guys look at the minimap, you'll notice that both the watchtowers are held by MMA right now, and he has a Hellion there at the line of sight blocker and at the bottom right as well. So he's got a line of sight all the way from the top left to the bottom right.
Yeah,
nothing will get by. And that's really smart.
Really
I like that so much.
That is
like
super smart. Yeah, Happy cannot sneak anything by him right now at all. There's just no way he can get anything by. Of course, if he was going to do a drop, he could skirt around the edges of the map, I guess. But, you know, if an army moves across or if Hellions move out or anything like that, MMA is going to spot it very quickly, so no harm done. Siege mode is complete for MMA. There's a little window of time here where he's got Siege mode and Happy doesn't, but it doesn't look like MMA wants to be aggressive with that time. He's just hanging back. He's not going for any kind of an attack.
Look at this, sending both of those Hellions to kill, 1 Marine on each side. Does get one, the Marine on the right, the Marine on the left does survive because it looks like Happy's going to move out here. Decides to turn around.
Nope. Oh, Hellion sneaks into the main base actually, and oh, juking around. Is he going to get some hits off? No. Not going to do any damage after all, but...
Well, he does make MMA, or rather Happy, turn all the way around with his forces. I like that. He's actually still alive in here. One Viking lands to take him out, but I like that he was able to scout the main, also was able to pull the forces back. Now he's going to move his own forces out. Now what's different between these two players is that while Happy has continued to make mech units and started a second factory, MMA has added 2 barracks and is going to be going Marine Tank Viking.
Interesting.
Siege mode of MMA almost done.
And a lot of people, we've seen this switch into Marine Tank recently because since the Blue Flame, the Infernal Pre-Igniter upgrade of the Hellion got reduced in damage, it's not quite as effective against SCVs, it's not quite as effective against Marines anymore. But the thing is that upgrade still does do extra damage to Marines and enemy Hellions, and it's not going to make a numerical difference if it's just Hellions versus Hellions or just, you know, Marines versus Marines or, you know, against SCVs, what have you. But when there's a lot of damage being done from different sources, like other Marines and Tank Splash and that kind of thing, that extra 5 damage with a Blue Flame can really make a difference. So it's going to be interesting to see how Happy's army is going to go up against MMAs in that situation.
Yeah, absolutely.
If that makes any sense.
Of course. I think everyone knows what you're talking about. It's basically...
I get point being...
a lot of people were like, oh, well,
the Blue Flame nerf doesn't make it worthless, is my point, basically.
I mean, that's... a lot of people were saying that to me when that first happened. I was like, well, I don't know, I guess you should just never get +1 weapons for anything anymore either, because it's only a little bit different, right?
Yeah. Yeah, people were complaining because it's like, oh, well, now it's 3 hits to kill a worker, whether it's Blue Flame or not. It's like, okay, well, that's one situation, but when there's multiple damages being dealt by different types of units, any amount more damage you can get thrown into the mix on your side is going to be helpful.
Of course. Now everyone knows everything about the Blue Flame Hellion change.
There we go.
We educated you guys. This factory, or rather barracks, if it gets taken out will mean no more factories, but does narrowly escape. So the lucky barracks driver, after he escaped, he just sat there. It wasn't really concerned about it anymore. So basically anyone who drives a factory, barracks, or starport is a little bit weird.
A little dense.
Yeah, they're just a little bit weird. Have you guys noticed that like the command center drivers are usually much smarter? They usually land in good places.
True.
They don't just float around in the middle of space. They're very strategic when it's a base race situation.
When they're under the attack, they lift off and they actually float away from the enemy.
Yeah.
Most
Barracks and factories and starports, they're not that intelligent. Engineering bay drivers were so intelligent in StarCraft 1 that they can no longer fly Blizzard to remove that ability from the game.
Engineering bay drivers were imba in StarCraft 1, man.
I was actually talking about this. Imagine if you could
lock them down.
You can build engineering bays with 125 so quickly in this game. Imagine if you could do pushes. I think the reason why they removed it was because you could do pushes with an engineering bay with Marauders and just like lift the eBay for vision. That would be so imba. I think that's why they removed it. that would be crazy.
Yeah, people would sometimes do that. Use their engineering bays floating for vision for their tanks and stuff in StarCraft 1.
They were so smart, man. Those players. Well, right now, MMA is 146 supply to Happy's 129. Happy is making 2 sensor turrets right now. Sensor towers, I should say. This barracks will go down. Like I said, you know, those barracks drives are just not the smartest in the world.
Herp, herp.
But he did, of course, with that barracks, he had, as was intended, wanted to spot the army of MMA, and he really wants to know where it is. That's why he's got 2 turrets up now, or sensor towers. I keep calling them turrets.
Oh.
Uh-oh. He sees it, but he's in the wrong spot here.
MMA's army might be a little trapped, though, is the thing. Well, actually, no. Happy is not going to come in from both sides. He's just going to come in from one side. Bio doing a lot of damage here. Is he going to take out the orbital command? Not just. Wait, maybe the Vikings going to finish it off. No, the orbital survives because the Vikings turn their attention to the enemy Vikings, which is unfortunate. PDD dropping down is going to win the Viking battle for Happy. And MMA loses a lot of forces, but he's going to come over here and possibly take out the third of Happy in the meantime, and it's not going to happen. Too many SCVs repairing, and MMA doesn't accomplish any of his goals with that attack.
He traded pretty efficiently, though, and actually these tanks sieging up, he could have gotten a few hits off on those, but decides not to. And now these Hellions, though, have free reign over these SCVs.
Wow, MMA not reacting at all. Now he finally reacts.
Almost had +1 on those Hellions, so fortunately did Most of those SCVs survived that would not have if he had +1 on those Hellions. Just barely not in time. I mean, I'm talking about like 5 or 6 seconds.
Wow.
So that was pretty fortunate for MMA. And MMA still has a really big supply lead despite that failed timing attack because he just traded so efficiently with those siege tanks.
Yeah.
He's going to attack the planetary location again. Just going to take out a gas and then leave. I like that.
Might as well. You can get it for free. Might as well take it. That's actually something that you'll notice about pro gamers in general, like the absolute top professional players, the best players, they don't engage very often unless they know they're going to win. And they'll, like, even if they could do more damage, if they can get any damage done for free and then leave without taking any, they'll always do that.
Of course, yeah.
It's really easy to get greedy and be like, oh, well, if I keep my mutas here for a little bit longer, I can finish off this orbital. But then you lose a couple mutas, but if they take damage...
Double-pronged attack here from MMA. His Marauders doing some damage to these tanks, forcing them to siege, but at the same time, his Marines and Marauders on the left side have killed several SCVs of Happy. And he's actually killed the gas yet again.
He does not want him mining from that 6th gas.
No, he does not. Meanwhile, the bottom right gold base is being taken by MMA. It's going to be very difficult for Happy to move out there with his mech force, and we're seeing mech clashing with Bio yet again here, but one thing that you'll notice is that MMA has added siege tanks in of his own, but the siege tank count right now is 19 siege tanks for Happy and 3 for MMA.
This looks a lot like our MVP series right here. That last game, and MMA is playing this beautifully though. He keeps like having part of his army in different places around the map, and he doesn't fully engage with it ever, but when Happy moves to the south to try and move out, MMA prods at the left. When he reinforces over on the left, he withdraws and moves up a little bit on the south.
Look at that. That's that withdrawal you were talking about. Pulls out, losing no units. Now his forces on the right side can actually do more damage. He's going to stim here and try to take out some of these turrets. It's almost like PvP Blinkstalker-esque harassment here, just moving over, harassing the side and getting out.
Yep. Now here's the crucial thing though, is like we were talking about with MVP versus Ganji game, the last game, game 4, Happy was behind. I'm not Happy. MVP was behind, but he came out with a max mech army, and this is what Happy's doing right now. He's been kind of pinned in his base, and MMA has an economy advantage, but Happy's moving out with a lot of siege tanks now, and
meanwhile,
that's going to be hard to stop.
the planetary of Happy is taking a lot of damage, and MMA botches his control.
MMA moving in with a small force here at the same time, and up at the planetary at the 3rd. Oh, it does get repaired in time, and now MMA is actually going to lose some of his army there.
I think Happy is actually in a great spot here. He's going to clean up all these units in the medevacs.
Oh, no!
Now he's going to counterattack, and MMA is in a lot of trouble. He does have another small force on the bottom right, but Happy has left enough siege tanks back at home that he could actually just ignore that. There's no way those units can do real damage. He's got siege tanks in his main. He's got sensor towers. He's got turrets.
Now, MMA,
nothing is going to get through.
MMA does have a much better economy right now, so he's going to be able to rebuild faster, but the question is Happy going to be able to trade efficiently enough? Hold that thought, the tank sieging up. PDDs goes down to stop rather those Marauders from killing tanks for a short time. He does get a few tanks though.
But not enough. He's losing so much here. And like I said, there's just so many tanks back at home. These little attacks from MMA are not working anymore. That orbital is going to have to lift, but there are Vikings waiting for just that moment.
I don't know. I think MMA might still be able to close this out. Happy has lost some tanks. MMA has not lost nearly as much as we've seen in previous games in this kind of a situation. So MMA is probably going to lose. Yes, he's going to lose that base at the left, but he still has the gold base in the bottom right mining.
He does.
So he's still able to pump out a lot more units, although I don't know why
he has not added more barracks. He's got 1,400 minerals in the bank, and like you're saying, you're exactly right. He's got that gold base, but he has not added any barracks.
Oh, wow.
He has not powered up, and now his little attack over here at the natural is going to kill a few siege tanks, but just a few. He stims. He's indecisively running around. I think Happy's got this game no matter what, man. No matter what MMA does. Guess what the unit counts are right now? 3 tanks, 20 Marauders, 15 Marines to 11 Hellions with Blue Flame, 8 Vikings, and 26 siege tanks.
26 siege tanks.
And that
is
is
disgusting.
It's just too efficient for the armies that MMA is sending. We've seen players go bio and then try to switch into siege tanks. That's exactly what MMA has done here. He's actually added more factories and tried to make the switch into siege tanks, but he wasn't quite able to make it work.
Wow, this is this is getting a little bit ridiculous. MMA has pretty good upgrades on his bio. At least he's trying to do some drops up here. He's going to try and drop the high yield base at the top left. He needs to do that damage because otherwise Happy's on even footing now.
He's also going to do a pretty large drop into the main. It's going to be a slow and patient one, but I don't know if he has enough units there to really make this work. It's just a distraction, and here he goes to attack the planetary. These SCVs are going to have to move.
This is exactly what he needs to be doing, though, is doing some harassment, making it so that Happy cannot just ball up and move. Oh my god, that is a huge number of siege tanks.
27, in fact.
Oh, that is disgusting. MMA is in a lot of trouble here. He needs, I mean, he's not set up to do the tech switch that we saw Ganji get away with in that situation where he came up with Vikings.
Yeah, he's just not ready for that. And now Happy is just moving forward with the siege tanks very carefully here.
Oh, he's being so careful.
Only moving 2 or 3 at a time.
Yeah. A little bit more action over here. One medevac and one marauder can take on infinite Hellions.
Very true.
But it's probably going to get shut down before too long by those siege tanks once they move.
In the meantime, MMA has taken a supply lead again. He's finally added those extra barracks they needed to add before. He's making 5 Marauders and 3 Marines at a time. He's about to have +3. He has +2 armor right now. And he's actually going to go over here and attack this planetary, which may end up working. It's going to look like, it looks like it's going to work very slowly here.
He needs to kill the SCVs. He's attacking the SCVs with 1 Marauder in the back, and more DPS coming in from behind. The extra Marauders are going to power that down.
And he actually may be able to do this. I just didn't think it was going to be possible. This does decide to back away when he sees the siege tanks on the high ground there. Happy has actually just stopped his push.
Is Happy mining at the top left is the question.
No, he's not.
No, he has stopped mining there as well.
Yeah, right now the income is about 3 times better for MMA. It's about 900 to 300
That's going to change soon, though. No, it's not, because these Marauders dropping on top of the tanks are barely going to save that planetary. Some more tanks coming up from the side are going to get that shut down, though.
You know,
he saved that mining at the very least for a moment.
I had really written MMA out here, but he actually knew exactly what to do in this situation. All he needed to do was shut down all the mining of Happy and continue to slow down the pushing. And look at this. He's actually going to be able to crush these siege tanks now. He just has too many units, and it looks like MMA is going to take game 1.
Happy is down 50 supply at this point. He is not mining. Happy is not mining. I mean, he's nominally mining in his expansion at his natural.
And at his gold that just died.
Just lost that gold, so he's basically not mining at this point, whereas MMA saved his 3rd and his 4th and has retaken his 5th. MMA is just going to run away with the rest of this game.
Absolutely, and right now let me give you guys some unit counts. Happy still has the siege tank lead at 13 to 5, but 25 Marauders and 9 Marines are out on the field versus just 10 Vikings and 10 Hellions and 3 Vikings, excuse me. And that is just not going to be enough to stop the firepower of the 3-2 Bioforce. He's actually making siege tanks as well. That sort of trying to catch up in siege tanks.
Yeah, that's one of the disadvantages of the mech is once you lose that bulk of your army that you've been building up all game, it's so hard to rebuild it. So Happy, like you said, he's down to only 13 siege tanks. Now he's at 15, but he doesn't have those 27 anymore, so he can't push out right now.
Right now, MMA looks like he wants to shut down the 3rd base of Happy, and he's going to attack it relatively unopposed. There are a lot of siege tanks, but they're mostly at the natural. There's only 3.
That one siege tank making sure that gas does not mine. It's like, no, you will not mine from that 6th gas. And, I mean, just be careful. Happy's sieging up.
Happy has positioned his siege tanks in a better location now, but MMA, if he wants to, can now run into the natural where there are only 2 siege tanks. It's very difficult for him to make this decision now, and actually Happy pushes these tanks back with his superior siege tank count.
Yeah, he is going to push him back, but here's the thing. MMA is up 100 supply right now. That is the kicker. Even if Happy has a better position, it doesn't matter. I mean, I don't think Happy is capable of pulling off the comeback that MVP is, to be honest with you. Happy's been playing really well, but
it would have even been more of a comeback if Happy came back here than MVP's come back.
Yeah.
This is not looking good. I mean, MVP in that situation had an unbeatable army, but in this case, that is not something that Happy has. These Marauders running in at the best possible angle for Happy, but even so, there's just so many of them that it doesn't matter.
Yep, MMA trying to seal the deal. Moving in there. Vikings are going to kill off these medevacs so easily because he doesn't have any Marines at all anymore. But MMA is just remaxing very quickly with 2 extra bases. Actually,
you know what? MMA actually needs to make a few more barracks. He just needs to do that. He actually is just not producing out of as many barracks as he could be at this point. Making 4 Marines and 4 Marauders at a time. I think he could add at least 3 more barracks to the income he has. He's got the gold base at the bottom right. It's mining out, but he's got the top left. He's taking the gold at the top left. And
MMA is just playing this safe, taking the map, and he even has something positioned at the right side of the map to make sure Happy doesn't sneak an expansion.
Cleaning up these tanks as well, just engaging the tanks where he's got the better units always, where the tanks of Happy are not. He's cleaning up these SCVs.
GG! MMA takes game number 1. And there he is. He's got to be happy about that.
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, I thought Happy had that game, but he just did not move his tanks forward as quickly as he could have. He was being too patient with his tanks, and then at some point he just said, nah, I'm not going to move him anymore. I'm just going to leave him right here, where I've got like 2 tanks shooting at that planetary.
Yeah. That was kind of interesting. MMA had about 15 SCVs repairing that planetary for like 3 minutes straight. Like 3 minutes straight, there was just a bunch of SCVs repairing that planetary. If he'd sent like 1 Hellion in to kill a couple SCVs or something like that, the planetary would have gone down, but he didn't quite finish it off. Same with the third. He didn't quite finish off the third either.
We had a very similar situation on that Tal'Darim game, where one player had a lot more mine, the other player had a better army. What MVP did was he killed the army, and then he killed all the expansions with small groups. In this case, Happy went to kill one of the expansions, but did not kill the army, and then with the extra money that he had, he just made a better and larger force and engaged from 4 different sides because the tanks were just sitting there. They were not slowly moving forward, cleaning up the army, making sure that he always has a better army. And MMA was just like, nah, I killed your army and you don't have any more mining. And
Happy got distracted a lot too. Like MMA kept just prodding all over the map at different places, forcing Happy to like come back or not commit his attack or not finish off the planetary in the bottom right, that kind of thing. So really good job of MMA by using that to his advantage, using Happy being a little bit too spread out, catching him off guard in different places. It was really good though. I was really impressed. Happy, he like had just enough at home to defend, so MMA couldn't go in there and just counterattack, and he was still able to go in there and punish the rest of MMA's army. But yeah, MMA just was able to hold those bases and take it in the end of the game. So next map is going to be Daybreak.
Yeah, it's our 2-player map that's very large. We've seen a lot of split map scenarios on this map, mech versus mech, and we may end up seeing that again. We obviously saw Happy go very mech-oriented last game, something that MMA decided not to do, but played Bio really, really well, a lot better than his teammate Ganji did, in fact.
Actually, 2 of the longest TVTs I've ever seen have been on this map, kind of thing.
Yeah, same here.
So we're going to get started here in just a moment. MMA versus Happy. Can Happy tie it up, or with MMA take a commanding 2-0 lead? We'll find out.